Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss how big of a player we think Bob Dylan's Heaven's Door will be. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Stacey Spears, Wes Hardin, and Nate Weiniger.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Howdy.
Hey,
Hello there.
Hello. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about Heaven's Door. Do we think they are going to be a big deal in Kentucky bourbon? We'll get to that after the break. For right now, Stacey Spears says there's something she wanted to talk about. What is that, Stacey?
Well, I just got back from Detroit this weekend, and I took my son up. He's 15 years old, and we're sitting in this convention center or whatever. He looks outside, and there's just a small arch out there, and he asks me, he goes, are we that close to the Ark? And I'm like, the Ark. And I look out there and see what he's talking about, and he thinks he's in St. Louis.
Oh, nice. Nice. He thought he was in St. Louis.
Yes, yeah. I was like, no, that's not
You should bring him here to St. Louis to go up in the arch. You can go up in there. It's a heck of a ride. They put you in this little bitty capsule that goes up, and you got to go sideways up to the top.
Does it go all the way
to the top? You get to go to the top.
To the top and then down the same side, or does it go to the top and down the other side?
Down the other side, yeah.
At the very top is the original Ronald McDonald. He's up there waiting for you.
Yeah, Ronald McDonald is up there. He's waiting
horrifying.
for you.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. That's back. Wow. It's sold. It's back when it was just a single arch before Ronald went to 2. So that's why he's up there. So, yeah, it's an interesting place for sure. Little bitty windows that you look out there. You think it would be this great picturesque thing, and it's not. It's
people look like ants on the ground. It's
very tiny. It's got a little bit of a sway too. So if you're up there on a windy day, it does move a little bit, which is pretty weird. But yeah. So, but your son knew about the arch, thought he might be seeing it from Detroit. That'd be cool. But you can't quite see it from there. But a good St. Louisan loves the arch.
He thought it was the arch?
He thought it was the real deal.
What did he see though? What in Detroit?
It was like a small arch, just real small. But my question
it looked like it was in the distance to him. He was like, oh, I could see St. Louis. It's very far away, but yeah.
So, have you ever had one of those moments where you were just geographically challenged?
Geographically challenged. Okay. Has anyone ever been geographically challenged? I can't say I have been, because I like to travel. I like to go places. But McNew, famously, I'll share a McNew story for the audience. McNew one time set us up on a pirate ship for the New Orleans Bourbon Festival, because it was right on the Mississippi, and it was this pirate ship, and we could all stay there, and it was very cool. The problem was it was in Minnesota, not in New Orleans.
Really?
Yeah, and she didn't know. She thought the Mississippi was just a New Orleans thing. That was the river she knew of being in New Orleans. And so she thought that would be a great thing for us to book for the group. And I thought, well, I guess we could make this happen. We could get get flights every morning, fly out and get to the Bourbon Festival and then fly back in the evening. But no, we decided not to go with the pirate ship. That's the greatest geographic thing I've ever heard of. And by the way, she when she drives into St. Louis the first time, I said, "What do you think about when you saw the arch or that?" And she's like, "I didn't see it." I said, "What about the Mississippi?" I don't remember crossing a river. I'm like, really? MacLeod was very focused on driving. And that's probably for the best, based on her.
Remember the river?
No, didn't know anything about it. Didn't know she crossed a river. So she was like,
I'll say that this was just a not knowing thing. Coming from North Dakota, moving to Kentucky, and I knew this prior to moving to Kentucky, sort of. But people that don't live in Kentucky and don't fully know bourbon stuff, I think that a lot of people assume that distilleries are literally all right next to each other, or like in like the same like very close area. Like you don't have to drive hours to get like to one to the next to the next. Like I think that it just kind of seems like a lot of distilleries are very, very close to each other, where they're not. I mean, there's some that are very close to each other.
sure.
The entire Bourbon Trail, like you're
You're going to be driving hundreds of miles.
yeah, so you hear the Bourbon Trail, and I kind of think of like going to Epcot and going around the world, right? Like I can do that, get that done in a day, and get a drink from every single place in Epcot in one day down in Florida. No, the Kentucky Bourbon Trail is the entire state.
Big circle around the state. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go around the entire state. The distilleries are not just in Louisville or Bardstown or Lexington or just where it's Sparta.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And some of them are very far away from each other. I mean, it's not a quick drive to, if you're going all the way down to MB Roland and then you want to get up to New Riff the same day, like that's going to be a long day.
Yeah, that is. Crossing time zones even. Yeah.
Yeah, like that is a long day. And then, like the Bard and like there's so many, and then go over to Limestone. I mean, there is a lot, like the distilleries are all over the place. This is not just a very close-knit area of distilleries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wes, how about you? Any time you've had been challenged by geography?
No, more time zone screw.
Yeah, go to Indiana. That's a messed up state for time zones.
The first time I went to Hermosillo, Mexico for work, which is very far west Mexico, it's actually 3 hours behind. It was the first time I really experienced like how different life is and those time zones back that way. So, it was the summertime. So here, sunset is 8:45, 8:50, whatever it is, right before, in between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, right?
Right.
And I get back to my hotel from work and it's like 4:30. And all of a sudden the sun's going down. I'm like, what the fuck is going on over here? Like, it's like sun setting at 4:30. And so I wasn't geographically challenged, but it was very weird because like the sun comes up at like 4:35 in the morning there. And it was a very weird thing to kind of deal with for the first time. And then once you know you're going into it, you can adjust afterwards. But it was very strange for it to be summer and hot and the sun setting at 4:45, 5 o'clock PM. Their time, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of strange the first time I had to deal with the extreme time zone change.
Yeah. Nate, how about you? Any geography challenges in your background?
My biggest thing is sometimes I wake up after a night out in a hotel and not know where the hell I am. So until I figure that out. So
sometimes that happens. Yeah.
I'm like, where am I? I'm not in Colorado. That's right. But I sort that out pretty quick. So
yeah.
There's not really. The time zones thing I definitely had where I missed a meeting because I thought I was in one time zone and it was in, I think, Indiana actually.
Indiana will mess you up. Yeah.
And I was off. I thought I was East Coast and I wasn't. So but other than that, no, I don't. I usually know where I'm going. And, got it down, and usually I've seen the Ark when I went through St. Louis, so I did.
Yeah, I saw the Ark. Yeah. Speaking of the Ark, there was an ad for the Ark, and the warden was like, "Oh God, look at this! And that's in Kentucky." I'm like, "That's not far from Neely, right there. That's close to them." Yeah. Well, yeah. Becca, you've been to the Ark?
A amazing amount of people.
They come from there. Yeah.
We get
If I went there, I'd need a drink afterwards. So yeah.
Half the people during the week are probably from the Ark itself.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
literally, we get so many people that are like, well, we came down to go to the Ark, and we were like, well, we should probably go to a distillery, and you guys were the first one that popped up. And I'm like, we were the first one that popped up to come, like, to go to from the Ark. I don't know what advertising things have happened, but because I mean, it's right by it's like right by Lexington.
Yeah. You went there, right, Becca? You went to the
Yeah, I've
Ark?
been there twice.
Really?
But you would think that there'd be other distilleries that
Has Royce ever been there?
once. Not with me. I've only gone with I took Ashley McGee with me, and I took my brother with, and we had a blast. I like the Ark. I think it's a really cool thing to do. I tell people to go to. That's why I brought my two best friends down there, because I was like, I think it's really cool to see. I don't personally need to see it another time. I didn't need to see it the second time, but I would take people to it again if they wanted to go, because it is, I think, a really.
Would you take Stacey Spears there?
Absolutely, I would.
What about Wes?
If Wes wanted to go, I wouldn't go.
Nate? You wouldn't go. Okay, fair enough. That's where I was hoping it would go. All right, Stacey, you asked the question. Any geography mess ups in your past?
I don't, when it comes to like listening to a GPS, sometimes I think I'm right, and I'm usually proven wrong with GPSs. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like people nowadays struggle with just getting places. I had a friend in high school that she was going to Morehead State, and she ended up in West Virginia. She didn't know east from west.
Well, I don't know that I'm that bad, but I will say I am now ruined by GPS, because when you go to a place, like I travel around, go to stores, and a lot of times, because I know the people, they'll be like, well, how'd you get here? I don't, where the lady told me to turn. They're like, did you take this way in or this way? I'm like, I don't actually know. I just was following the directions of the GPS lady. Well, I mean,
how closely do you follow? Like, do you follow the GPS exactly, or when you're looking at the GPS, you look and you like kind of zoom in, and you're like, there's a road here that it looks like I could cut over, shave some time off here. Do you guys ever like deviate from that and like see what like your Google Maps or Apple Maps does to be like, okay, I guess that's what we're doing, because you think for some reason that you know better than the app itself?
Well, sometimes you might. I don't know. I just went on a little GPS thing the other day where it took me like I was going on Route 3, and then it took me through town, around, and then back out to Route 3. I was like, I should have just stayed on Route 3. I was going through Illinois. So it does some weird stuff sometimes. So maybe you're better off, looking at it. And I was just following what they said. Yeah.
On occasion, it's not bad to have two GPSs pulled up at once. I like to use Waze and Apple Maps at the same time. If some sort of like weird traffic jam or something like just strange going on. Like Waze. Last year, during we were going to a Bengals game, and we were driving up there, and as we're going up, one of the guys with us was like, hey, someone told me there's a huge wreck up here. Some guy was driving the wrong way down the interstate, huge wreck, people dead, whatever, not whatever, but it was a bad thing. Not whatever, RIP. It was a very horrible accident, very bad. And they were like, so we're going to be like, right now it's showing 2 hours in traffic. I'm like, shit. And so I pulled up Apple Maps, and Apple Maps was kind of like, you're going to be in traffic for at least an hour is what it said. And I pulled up Waze, and Waze is like, we're getting you there in 39 minutes. I was like, Waze is saying we can get there. And they were like, there's no way. And I was like, let's just do what Waze tells us to do. And so we're following Waze, and I'm with people, and I'm the outlier here. I'm the one that's not from here. I should not be the one going, oh, there's an alternate way to get there. And everyone's going, you don't know what you're talking about. Waze doesn't know what it's talking about. And I said, we can't.
And you're taking the risk, because if it goes wrong, you're going to get yelled at. If it goes okay, no one's going to say.
But I'm like, we can't hurt ourselves here. We're already it's already showing that we're going to get there past kickoff time if we just do what Apple Maps says and we just do the normal route. So why not just risk it and see what Waze does? So I'm like, okay, it says turn here. And they're like, there's no way to get the stadium from where you're telling us. And I'm like, Waze is not telling us that we're going to be swimming. Like that's not something it's going to say. Like it's not telling us we're going to be getting on a plane. Like it's saying we can drive there from this direction, from wherever it's putting us to. And we're driving and they're like, there's not a bridge. There's not a bridge. And I'm like, okay, well, this is what it's telling me. And it brought us to a ferry.
Uh-huh.
And the guys were like, oh my God, the ferry, it's going to take so long. You can only get like 10 boats across here at a time, or like 10 cars across at a time. This is going to just be a huge waste of time. And I'm like, just wait and see. I'm like, there's 2 ferries going. I think that this is going to be a lot quicker than we think. And there was a huge line because other people were using Waze. Mm-hmm. And it was just, so they were doing that too. They also try to get to the game. And we get in line, and sure enough, we got there in like 41 minutes. Wow. Where it said like 39 minutes before. And the other way was it ended up being like 2 hours or 2.5 hours just to get through traffic. And so the ferry it was. Sometimes
it doesn't. Yeah.
Those random ones are going to take you.
Waze just knows sometimes.
On random ways, but you're going to get there.
They're going to get there. There you go. Yeah. And I doubt everyone celebrated you. They was just like, oh, okay.
They were laughing a lot, but they gave me a lot of shit. Then they were like, all right, well, I guess it worked out.
I guess, Beka. Yeah. Well, on that note, it is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? I'll go first. I've got Rally Point Rye, the 5-year, a yearly release by Still 630 in St. Louis. I think it's one of the greatest craft yearly releases that's out there. There's not a whole lot from the craft world where they come out with something, once a year, like Four Roses does with their limited edition, or Yellowstone, that type of thing. There's some of them. I get that. They're not the only one. But I think this is one of the greats, and it's some very good whiskey. So let's hear the cork pop here. Still 630, St. Louis, Missouri. Solid. Based on our cork pops tonight, that could be enough to win. We're gonna see. I feel pretty good about that. All right. Next up is going to be Stacey Spears. Stacey, what do you got?
I have a new riff, rye.
Okay. Nothing there. I have the lead. Nate, you're going to be next.
Well, I've got a twist off, so it's going to make more noise than my other 2 cork pops did tonight. So
that's true. Yeah. All right.
So this is a Hidden Barn small batch series
twist
2
off.
Batch. Yeah, series.
It's like a
batch.
sample.
Yeah.
Okay, sample. Gotcha. All right. I got to see Jackie at work working on upcoming batch. I just happened to be at Neely, and it's a kind of fascinating process to see, just somebody who's good at that stuff. Pallets of whiskey, barrels in front of her, and just kind of working. It was cool.
She gets in a zone, man. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. That's definitely, I could not do what she does, so admittedly. So it's very cool to watch her do that. So, Wes, how about you, man? What do you got?
I've got a sample. It's a dusty sample of Joshua Brooks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Don't know anything about Joshua Brooks. All right. Last but not least is Beka. Beka, what do you got?
I've got some old Jet Brothers here. I've got actually our gold winner. I didn't even know this was up at the house, but it's open, so I'm gonna pop it.
All right. Heck yeah. Why not?
Oh,
goodness. Well,
there
was a bad table hit there. All right, we're gonna throw it to Stacey Spears here. Me versus Beka. Stacey, what do you think?
I think Steve got that one.
I got that one. All right. So fair enough. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to verify. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
All right, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking about Heaven's Door. We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
This is Mudcat Mike from MB Rollin Distillery. You're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about Heaven's Door.
Yes, we are. So this is interesting. So, the plan was, and of course, Heaven's Door to date has released almost exclusively, they've done a little bit of Kentucky bourbon, but mostly Tennessee whiskey. And now the fact that they're going to become a Kentucky bourbon distillery opening September of 2023, which is also interesting. Royce Neely talks about the guy who started this distillery in Pleasureville, Kentucky, known as 6 Mile Creek to this point, never opened to the public or anything like that. They started at the same time, and he knew this guy from the beginning. And of course, Royce has, now been in business for years, open to the public and winning awards and all this. And, this distillery sat up there in Pleasureville, never opening, but still making whiskey. They have a master distiller there, Ken Pierce, who's a great distiller from Barton, 1792, that has been making whiskey there now for probably 5 years, laying it down. And so I assume that Bob Dylan, when he opens up, is going to have aged inventory in stock ready to go, which is kind of cool. And the plan is to expand the distillery operations there and get to where they're laying down about 50,000 barrels a year, which is big. They're also going to do a tasting room in Kentucky. And their planned distillery in Tennessee is now going to be an event center that they use for their charitable organization. So they are certainly of some size. And when you're talking about distillery, you always have to worry, are they underfunded and things like that? And it's an expensive business to be in. Bob Dylan's doing okay. We know that the owner has the money to back the brand, and I know that he's also not hands-on every day like he's involved in making whiskey or anything like that, but he is a hands-on owner. He's not a celebrity brand where he's just attaching his name to it. So all of that being said, do we think that he has the chance to be a big player in the world of Kentucky bourbon? What do you guys think?
So here's my opinion on. Yeah, so I think he has a chance. I think it was an absolute necessary move to move into Kentucky and get away from the Tennessee whiskey only section. So he can supplement and offer both, but I think it's a very small box you put yourself into when you do that, and you're competing with the king of all kings of Tennessee whiskey, but you're also competing with Greenbrier, you're competing with Nearest Green, and then you got Dickel, you've got some other groups down there. So you got two big players, two up and coming players. So I think moving out into Kentucky and going into bourbon and getting out of Tennessee whiskey was big. We were talking about on a previous show, we were talking about agave and tequila. Tequila, there are a lot of celebrities that have and are getting and are creating tequila brands.
Right.
I think that's much different than creating a whiskey brand if you're a celebrity. I think tequila is It's tied to the margarita. It's tied to bar drinks. It's tied to all of that way before and more important and a lot heavier than it is to a connoisseur and a sipper of tequila need. There is that group, but it's much smaller. I think bourbon has a much larger fandom and a much larger group of fans and mega fans. And one thing that's been proven so far, I think, at least my opinion, is if you're a celebrity and you've attached your name to a bourbon brand or you've created a bourbon brand off your name, if it's not quality, people don't give a shit. They
Right.
flat out don't. And so the real taste test is going to be what they put out. Is it quality, or is it just is it not quality and it's more of a money grab for the name? Because the Bob Dylan maniacs and fans are only going to last for so long.
Correct.
And if you don't, and as people get older and that generation starts dying off, like he's not making new music or anything substantial.
Right.
And he's not, no offense, but he's not Elvis. He's not some of the historical icons. He's not Michael Jackson. He's not Prince. He's not some of these people that are going to pass the test of time from generation to generation, in my opinion. Not that he's not great, but in my opinion, he's not. So to me, it has to be good. And if it's good, then he's going to succeed. If it's not, he's going to fall to the wayside with some of these other celebrity bourbon brands that have all but fallen off the face of the earth. And it's not going to work. It has to be,
Right.
It has to be quality to keep moving.
Yeah. Stacey, what do you think?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I love Bob Dylan, and I better see him at Bourbon and Beyond.
That'd be a smart move. That would be a smart move for him to attend an event like that. He'd be a headliner there. Everyone would be trying his whiskey for sure. So I do think that's a good move, and maybe that's something that he does. I mean, he's a big name still, and I do think. Elvis big, no. Michael Jackson big, no. But I do think he's iconic. I think, forget the whiskey stuff. 100 years from now, people will still be talking about Bob Dylan. Long after everyone on this podcast is gone, everyone that's listening gone, people will still talk about Bob Dylan. He's a leader in, American folk music, if you will. So I think that he is a big enough name where he's got lasting power. But I do think he's taken a little bit different approach than some of these celebrity brands, Terry Bradshaw bourbon or Captain Kirk bourbon. I mean, these are things where they're just trying to sell it based on the name, and then hopefully their fans buy a bottle, and that's enough to keep them going. They don't even really care if they drink it, to be honest, I don't think. They're not making good enough stuff inside the bottle for them to do that. I think Dylan's trying to create a brand where you are drinking it. So we'll see. Does he live up to it? We got to see. So
I do have like different friend sets, and I've got my bourbon friends, but I also have my music friends, and I can see me being able to talk my music friends into going to Bob Dylan's place, and maybe possibly like getting them into bourbon just from that interest.
I understand, again, none of us have been to this distillery, but I understand it was, going to be this Taj Mahal type of place, just an amazing place to visit and things like that. Whether or not it got there or not, it did say in the press release, the original owner got in over his head. And so I don't know where that stands. If it is a great place, or kind of he got in, before it could make it really cool, but we'll see. But I'm sure Dylan can put the finishing touches to make sure it's a cool place. And I do think it's going to be worth a visit for sure. Nate, what do you think about this one? Bob Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, just what was said before. I think that Dylan has more credibility than a lot of the celebrities that have just attached their name to a brand that really weren't whiskey involved or whiskey drinkers, or I think he probably is a guy that drank it.
Yeah.
Was a fan of it, and whether it was moonshine or whatever, and going that way. But I think building a distillery in Kentucky right now, if you have the money to do it and whatnot, I think there's a good chance for success if you put out, like Wes said, a quality product. Because I do agree with what Wes says. In the end, it all comes
right.
And the majority of the consumer is not in it for the story and back and whatever. Most consumers, does it taste well or not? and they do want, some of those things are important to get people to come to get whiskey to lips, but what sells bottles is people tasting it, liking it, and then buying it or sharing it and others liking it. And so, I think he has a great chance of success. He's got some other people behind him too that are pretty successful. So,
Yeah. I 100% agree with Wes in that I do think that the brand, out of the gate should be successful, kind of on the path to success no matter what, because he does have a large fan base still. Again, they are older, but of course that also means they have discretionary income. I do think that they will support and buy the bottles as he gets this place going, probably come and visit and things like that. But long term, if it's going to be a lasting brand, he has to be making good product. There has to be good whiskey inside that bottle, because then it's going to come down to the ongoing support is going to come from the bourbon fans, the bourbon community. His fans will maybe come and see it once, but if it's going to be a lasting brand, it has to come from us, the people that listen to this podcast. It has to come from that group, and we'll see. That's yet to be determined how they do there.
He's the first. He's the first like celebrity to actually build his own distillery, isn't he?
Yeah.
That right there is a lot of credibility just in and of itself, because you can say whatever you want, but just buying some fucking barrels,
right? Put your name on it.
Guys do, and they're not actually putting any like effort into it. Like, all right, Terry Bradshaw, fantastic. Yeah, you really did a lot of work there. But like to actually buy a distillery now, granted, Bob Dylan's worth $500 million, so he can buy whatever he
can. Yeah.
Like. But he is, 81 years old.
Which also means he can spend whatever he wants to make it as good as he wants. If I'm 81 years old and I got $500 million and I'm in the whiskey business, I'm thinking I'm going to make the best goddamn whiskey possible, because I don't want to fuck around and be like, I'll
I'm 81. I want to be drinking the best stuff before I die.
Right. So this could be good for us as bourbon fans, potentially. Again.
Yeah, I think I think they also have to, whenever they decide to release the first product the bourbon product from the Kentucky distillery, they have to, I'm hoping they change the bottle, the label.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me too.
It can't have any of that Tennessee whiskey feel to it. Like the current Heaven's Door, you can call it Heaven's Door if you want, Heaven's Door Kentucky straight bourbon or whatever, but it's got to be same bottle or not. It's got to be a totally different label and branding. It's got to separate itself, because there are people that, right or wrong, that absolutely will not drink Tennessee whiskey. They don't give a shit who makes it, where it comes from or whatever. So if you're going to be successful in Kentucky, you have to cut that Tennessee tie to the masses.
I agree.
And what he has out there is not bad. I've had a bottle. It's not bad at all. It's actually pretty good. But just he needs a labeling and marketing change anyway. Like the label's terrible, the whole thing, the whole presentation's terrible.
Right. Other than his limited release, which features his paintings on, those are fantastic.
Those are great.
Those are awesome, and you should continue to do that, because that's really cool. But I agree. A rebranding would be really a good idea for sure.
Yeah, I think he has. They almost have to. Yeah.
So it's exciting to see. I do think that's going to be a big time player in Kentucky, and what's cool is again, it brings people towards your neck of the woods, Beka. So it's in your area, and you think competition's bad. No, it's not. Drawing people to the area is a good thing, because they're not going to go to just one distillery. So if I come and I'm just like, I'm a fan of Dylan, I want to go see his place, but I love whiskey, I'll probably go to Dylan's place and I'll see what else is around there. It might be Royce's place. It might be. I may put Neely on the list too. So
they're gonna get the mimic bump as well, because Fred's kind of transitioned he's transitioned himself away from everyday bourbon people, and he's more trying to move himself into the celebrity, whether it's actors, TV, music, or whatever. He's trying to kind of morph himself into the bourbon whisperer for celebrities. Yeah, especially the music world.
They'll probably get to talk to Dylan at some point.
Yeah, he's going to get that. He's going to get that bump from that for sure.
He's involved because, of course, Heaven Hill, famously litigious, one of the litigious distilleries in the business, and they went after him for Heaven's Door, but it suddenly just got resolved. And I got to think maybe Dylan just appears on a Zoom call and says, I want to use Heaven's Door, and they're like, oh, it's cool. They're first they're suing him, then you get Bob involved. It's like, oh, that's fine, yeah, that's cool, yeah, go ahead. Right? I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but I think probably something like that. In my mind, that's how it went down. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure you're right, Steve.
You're probably. That's what I would do. I mean, Bob Dylan says he wants to use them before. Fine.
The best part of that is to think that Bob Dylan got on Zoom.
Yeah. Someone set it up for him. He just stood in front of there. But he does have this weird thing of if he likes something, he does get involved. Like the show Pawn Stars, which you can say what you want about that, a good show, terrible show, or whatever. He liked that show, and he went on there. He went on an episode, so if he likes something, he gets involved. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. So, yeah, he's just one of these people because he's mysterious because he doesn't get involved in a lot of stuff. But when he does, it's interesting. So, on that note, we're going to wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Nate, we're going to start with you. Where can people find you?
Sure, man. 5280 Whiskey on Instagram, hidden_barn on Instagram, and hiddenbarnwhiskey.com.
All right, Wes.
As the kids say, you can find me on the gram at bourbon_Wes. You can find me on Twitter at bourbonwest, one word.
All right, Stacey.
I'm on Instagram at Stacey Share.
All right, Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more, abvnetwork.com. Come by and see us. We are at the ABV Barrel Shop, St. Louis, Missouri. You're cutting through town, maybe something like that. To put a little diversion on there, stop by and see us. Sit at our tasting bar. Try the barrel picks that we've got. Pick up your favorites. Check us out. Learn more at abvbarrelshop.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. For our audience, we're going to have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with the national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.